The views on this program do not reflect those of ONTV or its board of directors. Welcome to OAA Now, your home for Oakland Activities Association news and information. Here's your host, Sammy Terry.
Welcome to OAA Now. Here I'm Sammy Terry here, blogger of the Dragons Insider, blogger of Inside the OAA, one of the hosts between Terry on Orion Neighborhood Television. I'd like to welcome those watching on the local voice on SoundCloud and those on Orion Neighborhood Television. It's snowing. It snowed on Monday.
Yes, record amount of snow.
10 inches fell in Lake Orion here.
I refuse to acknowledge that it happened, and I'm hoping it goes away soon.
Yes. We got a lot of football to talk about.
Yeah.
2 teams left in the OAA. Volleyball, we got 3 teams left in volleyball.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Let's go to our breaking story, and that is over at Oxford. Bud Riley has resigned from coaching at Oxford, of course, after spending 42 years as the coach of Wildcats. So what was your initial thoughts, Ian, about Riley stepping down?
Surprise. Now, we're saying, and we have the article up. I mean, you
From
mentioned
MLive, yeah.
you referenced MLive in your blog post about it, and it says he resigns. So I thought it was retire. I thought it was retire,
Well,
but
it's interesting because, and I'm not going to go behind the scenes. We
don't know what's
We don't
going
know
on.
what's going on over there, but I've got my hints. But when you look at with Oxford, now this is going to be a complete change.
completely,
And
yeah.
That's not only in the high school ranks, but also in the middle school ranks.
Yeah.
You got to look at elementary school, youth football ranks. I mean,
Yeah.
this is going to be a psychological change for Oxford football.
Yeah.
I mean,
It
heading
ripples
into next
through
year.
it ripples through all levels of Oxford football.
It's going to. I mean, whoever the new guy is now, I know the job was posted, I believe, as of Wednesday. That was according to Ackerman himself. I had a conversation with him during the volleyball.
The AD?
conference.
Yeah.
The AD there. But
42 seasons,
42
a
seasons.
state championship.
Yep, that says a lot.
Oh, heck yeah.
And of course, very instrumental. Oxford leading the going into the OAA. Of course, the pound the rock system that Oxford runs.
You knew what you were getting when
You
you're
knew
going
what
up
you were
against
getting.
Oxford, yeah.
You knew what you were getting.
Yep.
I mean, but when you look at Oxford now, as we mentioned, what will happen to this program? Will Oxford go to a Bud Riley disciple? I mean, there's a ton of Bud Riley disciples at there's a ton of Bud Riley disciples. When you look at, of course, Billy Keenest at Troy Athens, he was a quarterback at Oxford. You look at Kyle Riley at Hazel Park. That could be another option. I mean, or if Ackerman decides, let's go outside the box, and go completely start from scratch. That is a possible option for Oxford.
Yeah,
When you look at the job.
such a huge figure, the shadow over that program for 42 years.
Mm-hmm.
Those are tough shoes to fill.
42 years.
42. I mean, that just doesn't happen now. I mean, what's the comparable Harrington? I mean,
You could compare John Harrington to that,
right?
yes.
I mean, the longevity and how many years. I mean, this day and age, if you last a decade, you're doing great.
It's not easy. You
No.
know what I mean? It's not easy.
Exactly.
You look at also you have George Poor at Orchard Lake St. Mary's. I mean, he's been there. He's still there at Orchard Lake St. Mary's.
But yeah, end of an era.
It is.
Surprising.
But I'm curious to see who's going to be the one replaces him. Stay tuned to OA Now for the latest on the Oxford Wildcats coaching search.
And we, just to add to the story before we close out, saw on social media they're looking to get a petition going up there in Oxford to rename the field.
And they shouldn't rename it Wildcat. They should rename it Bud Riley Field because that man has done so much for that team over there.
Yeah.
He has done so much for that franchise. He's done for that community, for that school. I mean,
icon.
He's an icon there.
There's that word is thrown out quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
In kind of questionable instances, but in this instance,
he
fits.
is an icon at
He
Oxford.
absolutely is.
He is an absolute icon over at Oxford. Let's go now from more football here.
Yeah.
We're going to recap last week and talk a little bit about this week's games. Let's look at last week's games.
Wow, what a
First one you got is West Bloomfield knocking off Plymouth pretty convincingly behind Donovan Edwards.
what was that score again?
Don't have my phone with me.
Big,
but
big,
it was
big
a big
to little,
win.
little.
It was a big win for them. And here's what happened. C.J. Harris got hurt in that game.
Oh,
Donovan Edwards became the quarterback, and basically West Bloomfield ran a ton of Wildcat all night.
Oh boy,
on Plymouth, they went and they were successful.
And what do we say about them? They can win in any way you can possibly.
And they have a
think of.
defense who is very good and fierce as well.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
I thought the game would have been tighter.
I knew it was gonna be a blowout, but you look at the impact Donovan Edwards has made with that team. Last season, he was out because of an injury.
Yeah.
And now you have Edwards back, fully healthy, fully healthy. Edwards' availability has been huge for Coach Ron Bellamy's team.
Yeah.
It has been absolutely huge.
They're dangerous when that guy's on the field.
They are very dangerous.
Yes.
I mean, who would ever thought, you know what I mean? West Bloomfield right now, they're looking really good right now. They got a big one Saturday afternoon. We're going to talk about that game with Belleville.
Belleville's rolling.
That's going to be really interesting. Let's look at the other game in Division I. Of course, Lake Orion.
Yeah.
They had a tough 27-20 loss to Utica Eisenhower.
Yep.
The difference in that game was that first half. Lake Orion's pass defense was just atrocious in that game.
What did we say last week when we talked about Ike coming in?
Yeah.
What were the statistics that you shared with everybody? You said
shared
that quarterback completed.
Blake Ristique, he is one of he's a zone read guy. He can beat you with his legs,
Absolutely.
but especially his arm. And it showed in that game against Lake Orion. I thought Lake Orion defensively in that first half did not look good at all.
Yeah.
And
we saw that against Stony Creek just a week prior.
Right.
But with Ike's quarterback, what did we see?
Ristique, yeah.
Yeah, coming in, he had completions to 6 separate receivers in the previous
against Adams.
And he did it again. So that's no fluke. And you get a high school quarterback who can pick apart that defense by going through progressions.
Mm-hmm.
That is a huge asset because usually in the high school game, maybe you get 2 reads, maybe a third or a safety valve. Let's say a receiver running off to your side, but to have 5 legitimate receivers and that he could eyeball downfield, and it showed.
I was really disappointed in Lake Orion's defense in that game. I was really disappointed how they played. You couldn't stop Ristique. You couldn't stop. They had issues all night, especially on that side of the ball. And then Lake Orion's offense did not play well against Utica Eisenhower's very good defense. I mean, I think a lot of it you got to credit Eisenhower
Absolutely.
for what happened there. I mean, you got to credit them.
What do they say? You go on the road, and they've won on the road. This is their second road win, right?
Well, no, this is their best win in the first road win in the playoffs.
Is it? Okay.
Now they got to go on the road to Davison.
Yeah. Because Lapeer got knocked off.
Lapeer got knocked off, yes. I mean, now they get to go to Davison. Now, that game's at Ortonville-Brandon because of Davison's field conditions there.
Oh, okay.
So.
But, yeah, Lake Orion, it
was a tough ending.
It was just they ran into a better squad playing hot.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it was.
And you got to look at the Macomb Area Red Conference. They got 2 teams left. Sterling Heights Stevenson, and you have Utica Eisenhower. I mean, but for Lake Orion, is Lake Orion football back? Are they back, after this successful run this year?
Well, again, who's coming back next year?
Well, they do lose a ton. They do lose a lot of skill players. You lose Blaze Lauer. You lose
which is huge.
You lose Kobe Manzo.
Which is
You're going to lose Drew Van Heck,
which
Mitchell
is
Howell.
Huge, right?
I mean, and then that defense, you're going to lose a lot on that defense.
What did we see though? I mean, we watched every Lake
the
Orion
offensive
game.
line developing. That's huge.
Absolutely.
They do lose one starter on that line. That majority of that line's back,
which is will help any incoming quarterback.
Right, and Lake Orion's going to have a quarterback competition next year. I mean, you look at players like Dominic Bruno, Kyler Carson next year. I mean, those are going to be guys that are. It's going to be really interesting to see what John Blackstock's going to do next year.
I would say back as far as perennial playoff team, I don't know yet. But solid OAA Red competitor, you better watch out.
Stony Creek next year.
But Stony Creek, we talked about them.
Yeah. I mean, I think, when you look at perennial teams to watch for next year.
On the up and up.
Yeah.
They could surprise a lot of people.
Before we talk the unthinkable upset game, let's talk about Farmington. Farmington, their defense showed up. Their defense showed up in that game against a very good against Detroit UD Jesuit.
Yeah.
but their offense did not show up, and it showed in that 11-10 loss.
Tight game.
Farmington had so many opportunities, but there was missed opportunities, and they should have won this game. They should have won that game over there at against UD Jesuit, but they did not, and I think a lot of that was their inability on offense. They were not the same offensive team since their game against North Farmington, where, of course, North Farmington held them to, I believe, 7 points. I mean, so when you look at...
But it's the playoffs, man. Everybody's good at this time.
Oh, it is.
Right? These are the good teams.
But Farmington's defense was legit. You know, their offense, you know, they were okay, but you lose... They're going to lose a lot of seniors.
Yeah.
They're going to lose, I believe, 22 seniors.
Wow.
I mean, that says a lot where Farmington's going to be, especially, they're going to be young next year. They're going to be very young.
Well, we knew going into that game that it was going to be close.
Yeah.
We knew it was going to be close.
We knew it was going to be close.
And it was one of those, you can't make mistakes. You had to play a perfect game.
Well, what happened in that game, and I'll give you a brief description. Farmington took a 7-0 lead. UD scored a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, made it 8-7. Farmington, late in the middle of the third quarter, took a 10-8 lead, but UD Jesuit, to close out the third quarter, kicked a short field goal to give themselves 11-10 lead, and that was your game right there.
Yeah.
That was your game right there.
Solid kick. What have we seen over the years?
Yeah.
You have a good kicker.
You have a good kicker.
You might not use them all that often, but in the playoffs, a good kicker.
Yeah.
Huge asset.
Huge asset.
Because we saw that with some other teams. Like, you know, they didn't want to kick it. They would go for it on fourth down. Even in field goal range, they decided to go for it on fourth down and come up short.
And that's the thing, you know, when you look at it. I mean, like, if you're Farmington, you know, you're kicking yourselves right now. You basically are.
But that's why you play. I mean, you make mistakes in this time of year, a couple weeks into the playoffs, you pay for them.
Yeah. And now let's look at the unthinkable shocker in Beverly Hills. I am still in shock about this score. I mean, like, I've been just completely ridiculed by this score.
Ridiculed? Who? By whom?
Well, I feel like there's like a ghost of Ors.
You must have to wear a
maple hat. Unless you're wearing a maple hat.
Yeah.
Unless you're wearing this type of hat, a maple hat.
That was
if you're Groves right now.
Wow. Talk about a gut punch.
Wow.
At
last
home.
2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, technically that game with UD Jesuit, that forfeit game, you know what I mean? But last 2 games, 90 points allowed. 90.
Yeah, that's a lot. Like, what happened? Humming along.
Well, what happened was Seaholm ran the veer. Okay?
Yes, we talked about that.
Yep. And one of their backs had a huge game. 135 yards.
What did we say? If you cannot respond, it's going to be a long day. And it sounded like it was a long day.
It was shocking because Groves had a ton of experience. You look at the players on that team. You had Kobe Taylor, Marcus Alexander, quarterback, Ralph Donaldson, and Seaholm goes into Beverly Hills having Donkey Kong literally on their back, and they not only beat their arch rival, they destroy their arch rival.
Yeah.
They snap a 6-year losing streak to them. 7 straight losses to Groves.
Yeah.
You count last year's game. I mean, this is speechless. Speechless.
But way to go, Maples. Right?
That's credit to Jim DeWalt's team.
Absolutely.
Credit to Jim DeWalt's team.
On the road.
History
not in your favor, and you
take
it to them.
And you not only just take it to them, you destroy them.
Yeah.
You destroy them. I don't know if Seaholm must have watched that Brownstown Woodhaven tape.
Yeah.
Because Brownstown Woodhaven ran all over Groves. Seaholm did the same thing, literally run all over Groves. Where was Groves' run defense the last 2 weeks?
I mean,
where was the run defense?
Not being in the trenches there or knowing, I mean, did they have injuries on that D-line or linebacking core?
They were healthy heading into that game.
But to see a team that is just
well, here's the
solidly
thing with
sound on defense, and also this.
Yeah, but here's the thing with Groves, okay? They had 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks to prepare for this team.
And a known team.
Yeah, and a well-known rivalry team. What I don't understand is, what in the heck were they doing?
But do you think, remember, we talked about this too. With the weather and all this stuff going on, you get a game off.
Yeah.
We said that could be the only real thing that could be a red flag for those guys. Going into this game, watch out. You get the game off or a week off because of a forfeit.
Because of the forfeit,
right?
What happened at Warren D. That Groves could not control what happened over there.
No. And so you get the day out, you get the week off.
Yeah.
Then what? Do you lose your edge? Right? Your focus. Does it waver? Like, oh, you go,
this was
I got
a
a week
team coming
off
a terrible loss to Brownstown Woodhaven. And yet Groves.
And that could linger too, man. That could sit in the back of your mind.
And yet, the last 2 weeks, this team gave up 90 points.
Yeah.
90 points. That's inexcusable.
Yeah, that's.
Especially for a proud defense like Groves' I know Brendan Flaherty. You know, he is not going to be a happy camper when you look at those stats in the final 2 weeks. You know?
Yeah.
And for Jim Dewald, this says a lot. This says a lot where his team's at. Seaholm only had, I believe, 25 kids.
Wow.
25 kids.
Good for them.
And they're in the regional final.
Yeah.
It's Seaholm's first district title since 2001. And for the reward, they get a home game.
Yeah.
They get a home game. A date with Port Huron.
Which
is a good matchup
it's
for
absolutely.
them. Because here's why. Here's why. Port Huron had to survive St. Clair Shores, Battle Creek, Lakeview on a last second, on a final play from scrimmage to beat them. 36-29 at St. Clair Shores. 2 weeks prior to that, Port Huron, the Big Reds, had to survive against their arch rival, Port Huron Northern, at Memorial Stadium, 27-21. Now, the Big Reds, I've seen Port Huron play.
Yeah.
I saw them play Carmen Ainsworth at Atwood. They look good against them. They're athletic.
Yeah.
Port Huron's not bad.
Yes.
But I don't think they've seen a team that's run a veer.
No. And
Seaholm runs a veer.
It's a good matchup.
It's a great matchup for Seaholm. Yeah. It's a great matchup for them.
Talk about earning it, man. I mean, that
team earned it. That team has earned what they have, you know, especially with the numbers that they have. Yeah. But they have managed to get it done together. You know, Seaholm, you know, there was a thought Seaholm was not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
They needed to beat Avondale to make the playoffs. And they did that.
In a big way, too.
In a big way.
Yeah.
Then they go on a wild and crazy shootout with Sterling Heights. And then this. And then this.
Yeah.
And then this.
They got to dial in. I mean, to see the way they closed out the season, win when you had to.
Right.
Did it.
There's
your playoff right there. I mean, their playoff started a week before everybody else.
Right.
Right? Because is one and done.
Right.
You win, you're in.
Right.
And they did it. And so they got that mindset. They're focused and ready to go, and they've been in playoff mode a week before everybody else.
Here's the thing with Seaholm. They got Donkey Kong off their back.
Absolutely, yeah.
They got Donkey Kong literally off their back.
Well, they're saying they're playing with house money now.
Yeah, now they're playing with house money. And I'll tell you what, they have a great opportunity here before them.
Mm-hmm.
If they can win their first, I think that will be their first regional. If
ever?
They can win that. I think ever. But you
Going
have
for
that.
Maples.
But then you have that tough regional state semifinal matchup, which you're likely gonna have to deal with Detroit Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
But
don't look ahead.
Don't look ahead if you're Seaholm. You got to focus on Port Huron, on the Big Reds.
And what do you see with the Maples so far? It doesn't look like they've been looking ahead.
No, it doesn't. They look hungry. They are hungry.
Hungry and focused.
They're
on what's before
focused, and they're ready to go. I like this team. I like what Jim Dewald's done with this team. The only thing I don't like about Seaholm's their helmets. But that's it. But
Always with the helmet.
But Seaholm, this is a team that I think, and I talked to Jim Dewald. I emailed him on Media Day, because he was not at Media Day.
Yeah, that's true.
But I talked to him 2 years ago, and I can't tell you how humble Coach Dewald is. He is the most humble guy I have ever seen. He's always been honest with me. He's been truthful to me.
Very open.
Very open to me. I mean, and I'm very appreciative of that.
Yeah.
So when I look at Seaholm, I'm telling you, I like this football team. I really do like this football team. They're a good football team.
That was the only score
that mind baffled me. Was that 42 when I looked at it, 42-7? What?
I was sitting down, flipping through Twitter. I'm like, oh, yeah, let's see what the games are. Because, we're following Lake Orion. We're getting updates on, the local team here. Yes, I live in Lake Orion. And so flipping through, and all of a sudden, get distracted. And I go, oh, I got a lot to catch up on. And bang, there it hits. I'm the only one. Everybody else in my family went to bed, and here I am flipping through, and I saw that. I'm like, oh, my word. I mean, it's the only one that blew my mind.
Was that upset?
Yes.
Was that upset? I was looking at when I got back home.
Because
I got back home, and I was looking at the score going like, what? We're like, what?
I know. I had to look at it again. I'm like, that's amazing.
I'm going like, you're serious.
Yeah.
You can't be serious.
Yeah.
And I write my recaps on Friday night, Saturday morning. I'm going like, what the heck just happened? What the heck happened?
But that goes back to, like you said, talking about the coach and the teams take on the personality
of their coach. And that's a huge credit to Jim.
Right.
That's a huge credit.
And he's got them focused. He's got them calm. He's got them going in with the right mindset. And like we said, too, you cannot overlook the fact that they've been in playoff mode a week longer than everyone else.
You can't look at that. You
can't overlook it.
You can't overlook it. I agree. You cannot overlook it. Now let's look at the other matchup in Division I. This is a rematch from last year's regional final between West Bloomfield and Belleville. This is going to be taking place on a Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock at Belleville. The reason why Belleville decides to do this is because, well, I'm not a huge fan of Jermaine Crowell. I'm not a huge fan of him.
Okay.
But
so is it the coach picking the afternoon Saturday game?
Well, because to get his kids used to playing on a Saturday afternoon.
And what's happened? What else? What other big games are happening Saturday?
Well,
you got the college games. You got a lot of distractions.
A lot of distractions. Yeah, I mean, like.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that they're playing on a Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock. I really don't like that.
Yeah.
But if you're West Blue, I mean, I know there's gonna be a lot of scouts looking at both
a lot
teams.
of talent on that field.
A lot of talent on that field.
And what happened? Belleville knocked off.
Belleville beat West Bloom. Belleville destroyed.
Was it Saline?
Brownstown Woodhaven.
Yeah.
They beat them in the district final. They beat Saline in the first round.
Correct. Blew the doors off.
They smacked Brownstown Woodhaven 67-14.
Yes.
What the heck?
And you know that 14 was probably late in the game.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't?
Early.
So they were in it.
They were in it.
And then responded, wow.
And then Belleville just responded, and basically, we know Belleville's got a very good quarterback.
Yes.
And Christian Jew Reed. He was very instrumental in last year's game against West Bloomfield. Now, when you look at West Bloomfield's side of things, West Bloomfield blew that game last year. They were up 10-0. They were up 10-0, and basically that Belleville came back. Now, you look at the difference from last year and this year's game, there's a big difference. There's a guy named Donovan Edwards.
Yes.
He's back for this game.
Yeah.
But the question's going to be, is C.J. Harris going to play in this game? Because he got hurt last week against Plymouth.
What was the injury, do you know?
I'm not sure what the injury was, but it wouldn't surprise me if Harris plays. And I think it's a huge matchup. West Bloomfield's really healthy right now. When you look at that matchup with Belleville. Last year, they were not healthy. This year, they are healthy.
And it wasn't even like Belleville last year was highly touted. And
they were highly touted, and then they were absolutely clobbered by Chippewa Valley.
Yeah. Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And then now you look at, there's no Chippewa Valley on the other side.
And they're looking for some redemption, don't you think?
Well, there's no Chippewa Valley. I mean, Chippewa Valley's on the other side. They used to be. But they're gone now.
But Belleville's looking to get back. They want to get back. Had a taste.
Belleville has never been in the state final. They've never been in the state final. West Bloomfield, on the other hand, has been in the state final. I forgot the other side's taking on the winner of Hudsonville and Brighton.
Ooh.
That one's going to be really interesting.
Yes.
But when you look at that matchup, that rematch.
Well, Belleville can tack on the points. We saw that.
Yeah, we know Belleville
can
score. We know that. But they have not met a defense like West Bloomfield. I mean, you have guys on that defense like Makari Page, Cornell Wheeler. You have Bo Davis on that defensive line. You have Wheeler at linebacker. You have Makari Page in that secondary. I mean, you have and that secondary at West Bloomfield is very, very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you look at Belleville, they have the talent to make Christian Jew-Reed's life miserable.
That's
I
true.
think they will make his life miserable. But Belleville, you know they're going to score.
Oh, yeah.
You know that they're going to score. And you know West Bloomfield's going to score.
They can, but can they keep pace? Is everybody healthy?
That's the question.
Yeah.
That's the big question. You know, Belleville, of course, you know, with them, they beat Saline, blew them out, and then, of course, winning in the Brownstown and destroying Woodhaven.
Yeah, I mean, they're rolling right now.
They're rolling right now.
Yeah.
But West Bloomfield, of course, knocking off both Plymouth and Plymouth Canton.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be a test for West Bloomfield. This is going to be a real test.
Do you think the finals rolls through this section of the bracket? Do you think they have a chance
I think West Bloomfield's got a great chance to get back. But when I look at the other side of things, I think the winner of Davis and Utica Eisenhower, I personally think is a state final team.
Really?
I don't trust Detroit Cass Tech at all. I think the winner of this West Bloomfield Belleville game will get the state final, and I think the winner of that Davis and Utica Eisenhower game is going to get the state final.
Yeah.
When I look at the games on paper,
yeah.
I'm going to go Seaholm destroys Port Huron by 2 scores. Port Huron has not seen a Veer team all year. But in this West Bloomfield Belleville game, that's going to be high scoring. I think West Bloomfield is getting their revenge.
Oh.
Revenge. I could tell you what, West Bloomfield had to be looking forward to that game against Belleville. They got to be.
Yeah.
You know, payback. You know what karma does for you. Karma's you know what.
Yeah.
But
it can be.
I'm telling you, I think West Bloomfield's going to beat Belleville. I really do.
You think they're going to make a statement or it's going to be tight? Shootout?
It's going to be tight. It's going to be
It could be a shootout. But if the defense for West Bloomfield is as advertised,
I think the difference in that game is going to be Makari Page. I think he's going to be the big difference in that game. I mean, you look at, of course, West Belleville's got a ton of athletes, but West Bloomfield, I'll tell you what, they've got a ton of athletes.
Yeah.
They got a ton of them. Who do you got early?
I think it's going to be close. I'll give the edge to West Bloomfield.
You got West Bloomfield?
Yeah.
You got
but I'm going to say it's going to be close.
You got Seaholm or Port Huron?
I'm on the Seaholm bandwagon. Heck yeah.
It's time to buy the Maples bandwagon.
Absolutely. I mean, the last 3 weeks, what can you say?
It's time to buy Seaholm.
Absolutely.
It's time to buy them. Okay, now let's take a break.
Want to take a break?
Let's take a break. You know what I mean? We haven't had a lot of breaks.
We haven't. We've been talking. There's so much to talk about.
So much to talk about. Let's go to volleyball. You know what I mean? We're going to go that on the next segment here on OAA Now.
This is Lake Orion's own, the local voice. Call ONTV and get on air 248-393-1060. Let your voice be heard. Internet radio for all. Call ONTV and get on air.
Welcome back to OAA Now. Here I'm Sammy coming here with Ian Lockton.
Hey.
We talked a lot of football for a month. This was the first time we had a break.
I know it, but it's been so compelling, and the storylines have been just amazing, and things have been happening. Like we said, winding down this football season has been
a lot
really
of other
exciting.
Sports either. We haven't, especially one we got to cover, and it's volleyball. Playoffs are right now rolling right now.
not only rolling, but geez, some crazy things
There's
happening
been some crazy
in the OAA.
things that have happened around the OAA. You look at, of course, you look at West Bloomfield's had a really nice year under Coach Lauren DeLuck Forbes.
Yeah.
It kind of helps when you have a Central Michigan commit and Lauren King on that team.
Anytime you have a
And
D1
Grace
player.
And Grace Allred's also been playing. I mean, like, when you look at, you have basically OA Red Regional at Stony Creek.
Yeah.
And then you have a regional over at St. Clair Shore South Lake. Of course, that's where Ferndale's at. Ferndale, of course, winning their district in a 5-set thriller against Detroit Communication Media Arts.
Wow.
Now they're going to be taking on Warren Regina. And then that winner's likely looking at playing Detroit's Cesar Chavez.
Yeah, and Regina's a tough team.
Regina's a tough team, yes.
They're always making some noise, you know.
Well, yeah, but they haven't really made that in the volleyball ranks. So. But I think it's going to be really interesting for Ferndale.
Yeah.
Of course, especially for Coach Stella Johnstone. For Coach Stella Johnstone, of course, in her second year there, she got a really talented player, Emily Foster. But when you look at Ferndale's road, I think Ferndale can knock off Warren Regina, but I think they're going to have a really tough time with Detroit's Cesar Chavez. They're going to have a really tough time there.
Yeah.
And now let's look at the OA Red Regional at Stony Creek.
But also the lead up to it, because we haven't even talked district.
No, we haven't even talked district. We've been so busy covering football.
Yeah, that's on us.
Yeah,
yes,
that's on us.
that's
You know,
sorry.
I mean, like, but when you look at
but the road these teams have taken,
yeah.
Crazy.
Let's look at them. Let's look at the teams that were in the regional first.
Yes.
You look at the Troy Colts. The Troy Colts had to knock off Bloomfield Hills, who was ranked 10th in the state.
Yeah.
In 4 sets on their home field, on their home court. So when I look at Troy, they had a really good player in Fran McBride. They had a really good big in Athena Sampson. I was concerned about their wings coming into that game with West Bloomfield and the fact that Troy had West Bloomfield's number. But in their district, I was stunned how they beat Bloomfield Hills in 4 games.
Yeah.
Especially because Bloomfield Hills had a missed volleyball candidate in Alexa Rousseau.
Mm-hmm.
Which was beyond stunning because I thought Bloomfield Hills would win that game. I really did.
But there's a lot of teams that everybody's looking at going, yeah. And it didn't happen.
Oh yeah, it really didn't happen. I mean,
it's. I'm not going to say like it's almost like districts to the regionals for volleyball turned into almost like the season for football in the OAA.
Yeah,
like
it kind of
is like. What's happening here? You get in the districts and you're going, what's going on?
It kind of, and then you look at the other districts, at Birmingham Marion, of course, Birmingham Marion won that district, knocking off Groves. Also, you got to look at what Farmington Hills Mercy did to North Farmington. And they won that district. We know how good Farmington Hills Mercy is.
Yes.
They are very good.
Absolutely.
They had to survive Birmingham Marion the other night. But when you look at and then you got to look at the other side of the region, West Bloomfield, basically hosting their regional, basically winning that. I thought they won that one pretty convincingly. Of course, they looked really good against Walled Lake Central.
Was that regional or district?
That was their district.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was interesting. In June, the MHSAA put West Bloomfield with Milford, Lakeland, and all 3 Walled Lakes.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting.
More of a geographic move.
Yeah, it's more of a geographical move there. But for West Bloomfield, especially for Coach Warren DeLuck Forbes, going to the red helped them win this district.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the OA Red's probably the toughest division in the state.
It's starting to look like it, isn't it?
It is.
I mean,
it is.
You're looking at the
state
results.
Rankings, yeah.
Well, the rankings are one thing, but you see them actually in action.
I've seen a lot of these teams in action,
and they're doing great. I mean, they're rolling through.
I mean, like Groves was a district finalist, West Bloomfield, Troy, Lake Orion, Oxford. I mean, Stony Creek, they were a district finalist. Let's go to Stony Creek. I mean, Stony Creek, they won their district, but they had to survive a district semifinal with Rochester Adams, which that went 5 games.
Yeah. But so did other teams.
Yeah. I got to give credit to Terry Bogman what he's done over there at Adams in his first season there.
Yeah.
Wonderful job, of course. Terry Bauman, of course, used to coach at Walled Lake Northern before coming over to Adams. Ended up being a good move for him. I know he lives in
And their
Lake
future
Orion.
is bright over there, man.
Yes, it is.
Already making waves.
I know Terry Bogman, he's a Lake Orion resident. I know that. Good to see them. Good to see him give credit where credit's due there.
Yeah.
And then, of course, let's look at that beautiful Lake Orion district. Yikes.
Who saw this coming? Anybody?
I did not see this district coming.
No, not at all.
I really did not see this.
Especially when we had the draw, you're like, ugh.
Especially when you had the draw. And I owed Coach Tony Scavardo an apology because I picked Clarkston to win that district.
Yes.
I picked him to win that district. I couldn't, especially with the way that the season
Unfolded.
Unfolded. Clarkston had a great year. He had
5 losses.
5 losses.
Total.
Ranked 6th in the state.
Yeah.
Lake Orion, 15 losses. 15. They basically lost nearly everybody but 2 players.
That's what I say, a rebuild. You got new faces and the
But
rotation.
you know what? Here's what I'm regretting. Here's what I apologize for. The girls on that team on Lake Orion, they weren't participants in that, but they went and watched that game at that state championship game.
Oh,
So
yeah.
That tells me something with that team. That
Yes.
tells me something.
Yes.
I have described the Lake Orion girls volleyball team, compared it to the movie Venom. I'm
Okay.
serious.
All right.
You know, if you ever look at Eddie Brock and the Symbiote, you look at Eddie Brock,
Yeah.
tough life, you know what I mean? Basically trying to find his way. And then he finds the Symbiote. And the Symbiote, Eddie Brock, virtually the same thing.
Who's an alien? If you've ever seen it, right?
Yes.
Right.
Basically merge
They merge together as one.
and they look unbeatable.
Yeah.
That's what I describe the Lake Orion girls volleyball team. The movie Venom.
But that's a good observation, Sam.
That's to describe that team.
The observation that the team saw and took part in a state title run.
Mm-hmm.
They know what it takes to get there, and they
Right.
know when you get into the postseason.
And especially because you have 2 players, returning players.
But just having 2, that doesn't usually get you there.
And then you had 1 basically move out, transfer out to Sidney Smith. So basically, you got to give Coach Tony Scavardo a lot of credit.
But having those other players who may not have had a hand beyond the regular season in those tournament runs just a year ago to take that state title, just being around the atmosphere, because they're there training with a state title championship team, right? They're the other side.
And then you have like other siblings, you know what I mean, who've seen state championship experience. You look at Jada McCauley. Her older sister played last year. You look at, of course, Nina Horling. Her older sister, her sisters played in the 11th state championship game.
Yep.
I mean, there's is so much, and these kids have seen it.
Yes.
These kids have seen it, and they want to be a part of it.
Absolutely. And to say, you go, well, the starters usually get the glory because they're at the game, they're playing, but you also have the reserves that are working and training with those guys.
But also those who are in the stands. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Also those in the stands. I mean, and that says a lot. So I owe the Lake Orion girls volleyball team an apology. I do. I really do. Because.
But Sammy, in all honesty, who would
have ever seen this coming?
And not only so, if the listeners and viewers at home don't know, Lake Orion knocked off Clarkston.
Yeah.
But not only knocked them off.
I picked Clarkston to win that. That was in 4 games.
It was 4 games?
I picked Clarkston to win that district. And then.
Huge win.
And then they beat the Flint Metro League champion, Holly.
Yes.
They beat them in 3. And then.
They rolled through them.
And then against a very good Oxford team in a 5-game thriller.
That game was amazing. I mean, you talk about instant classics, and that was an instant classic. Two rivals meeting up for the hardware.
Mm-hmm. Two rivals meeting up for the hardware.
And
that's the same thing with Stony Creek Rochester.
Yes. But what a game. I mean, and that was the strategic timeouts that were taken during that game where, I mean, you had two coaches that were, man, it was a chess match.
Tony Scavarda and Brian
Amazing.
Kim. I got a lot of respect for Brian
Absolutely.
Kim. He's a good guy, good coach.
If ONT, we're running that. We have it on VOD, and we're running it on our orionontv.org if you want to see it.
Right.
But they had the chess match of calling timeout at specific times, stopping runs, don't let anything get out of hand, and just the back and forth. Man, that was a back and forth game.
It was a back and forth game.
Close. I mean, I don't think anybody really had more than a 4-point, 5-point lead at one point, and then the other team would claw back. It was two teams just battling for their lives.
And both teams were ranked honorable mentions. Both teams were honorable mentions.
Wow.
It's kind of funny.
They look better than that. I know that.
Oh, they are much better than that.
Yes.
I mean, you look at the top 10 teams in the state of Michigan. You look at
who's left?
Who's left? I mean, and then of course we look at the regional. Of course, we're filming this week on Wednesday this week. So we have the regional results from the regional at Stony Creek.
Yes.
I watched the Troy West Bloomfield game, and it was a far different game than what Troy did to West Bloomfield in 5 games. It was far different. Troy's back end looked absolutely out of sync. They were out of sync against West Bloomfield.
Okay.
West Bloomfield basically controlled that game from point in and point out. I was really disappointed with Troy. I mean, when I look at Troy, I had Troy ranked high this year. I thought Troy would do better than what they did. Now, does the loss of Jessica Robinson hurt that team? Absolutely it did. But I thought Fran McBride would make that next step and take over there. And it looked like, according to the stats and according to how the team stats were for Troy, it looked like Troy took a little bit of a step back this year.
And sometimes that happens. It just like we've seen with other teams, like you have expectations.
Yes.
And you've seen your team in action doing different things, and sometimes it just is off.
But West Bloomfield, the new kids on the block I call. I call West Bloomfield the new kids on the block, They won the white last year. Shared the white, was up in the red, had a nice year.
Yeah.
Won their district pretty handily.
Do you know what their record was coming in?
No, I do not know.
I'd be curious to see because
these four teams have played each other
a million times, yeah.
And these four teams are in the same division.
Yeah.
The red division. That's why I call it the OAA Red Regional at Stony Creek.
No unknowns coming into this baby.
No. And then, of course, and then the other side, you had Lake Orion and Stony Creek. That went 5.
That was another instant classic matchup.
One. Two friends know each other. Ross Talbot, coach at Stony Creek. Tony Scavarda at Lake Orion. Talbot used to coach at Lake Orion. Of course, Scavarda was his JV coach.
Yeah.
So it kind of set it was going to be an instant classic.
Haymakers, man.
Now, here's where I picked Stony Creek to win that region.
Okay.
Because of the experience. You look at players on Stony Creek like Kate Straighton, Ansley Geese. You have Kate Yatuma on that team. You have Sydney Tomlak on that team. I mean, Stony Creek had a boatload of experience on that team. And you look at Lake Orion on that side of things. Young, inexperienced. Stony Creek's had their way with them. And it kind of reminded me of last year. Last year, Stony Creek went into Lake Orion and just basically beat the Dragons in 5. Now,
that was for the league.
For the league title. Now, kind of, you kind of want to put an asterisk on that because Sydney Smith was out with a ankle injury.
Yeah.
And then Lake Orion got him back in a big time, blew him out in 3 in the regional final.
Yeah.
But this one, it was on Stony Creek's home court. And I know Lake Orion had a lot of motivation because Lake Orion blew a 2-0 lead in that game over at Stony Creek and lost in 5.
Yeah.
So when I look at that game,
Dragons came out strong though, right? I mean, they
won the first game early. They won the first set 25-22. and then lost the second and third set.
Yeah,
25,
and you're like,
22.
uh-oh.
The one that had me a little concerned was the first start of the fourth set, where Stony Creek was getting ready to take control.
Yeah.
Up 6-2
Yeah.
early.
Looking to make a run.
Stony Creek 1 point got it to 19-12.
Yeah.
And then all things went south. for them.
Sideways.
It went sideways. Stony Creek lost their mental mindset, their mental focus, went out of the system a couple times, and that's when Lake Orion started taking over. And, of course, Nina Horing played really well in that game. She played really well. And she's only a freshman.
Yes. Is that the big hitter? I
Yeah.
hear rumors of a big hitter.
Yeah.
And
But
100 mile an hour, like just with a hammer.
With Horing, I mean, like, here's the thing. She, to me, she could be really good or she could be really bad.
Okay.
And
well, you're still growing.
You're
You're
still
freshman.
rolling.
Yeah.
You got to ride with her.
Yeah.
You got to ride with her.
Yeah. But
You
when
know?
she's on,
When she's on, that team's dangerous.
Yeah.
When she struggles, bad things happen.
But it sounds like they've got a supporting cast now that is clicking.
Well, yeah, especially
And
because a lot of those players have started to grow up a little bit.
Yeah.
You look at a girl like Lauren Starrett; she's really improved her game. You look at some of the other girls; they've really improved their games as well. I mean, like you really look at
Yeah.
this
But who
team.
saw a
Who
regional
saw this
title
coming?
a shot?
Now you have Lake Orion playing West Bloomfield Thursday night, at Stony Creek. Thursday night. Who in the right frame of mind would have thought to see Lake Orion in the regional final? Who in the right frame of mind? And you know they're going to be favored coming this game against West Bloomfield.
Yeah.
Now I'm a little concerned about their legs because they went 5, West Bloomfield went 3.
Yeah. But still, you got. Well, yeah.
But
yes.
then again, I know the perfect motivator if you're a Dragon fan.
I don't
Look
think
at Lauren DeLuck Forbes' comments about that game in the swamp early in the year. That's your motivator if you're Tony Scavarda's team.
Do tell.
Yeah.
Share. What were they comments? Do you have them?
That she felt that they could hang with Lake Orion. That they had their opportunities to hang with Lake Orion. Just made mental mistakes and all that in that game.
So there's your motivated
There's
opponent.
your motivation. There's your motivation.
Yeah.
You know, you have a team that believes it can play with you. And let's not forget, Lake Orion went into West Bloomfield and beat them in the regular season. Regular season stats do not matter. This whole postseason tournament, you look at the stats, they don't matter.
So comparing, like Seaholm in football.
Yeah.
Lake Orion volleyball. Do you think Lake Orion's playing with house money, or do you think they're set sight on something higher?
I think this team is set on something higher because there's two ways to it. Yeah, I do agree with your point on house money. But they've got, if they want to defend their title,
yeah,
you know,
because they regardless of personnel, they are the defending.
They're the defending champion. Yeah, and to be the man, you got to beat the man. And you look at Lake Orion. I mean, you still have the same coaching staff there.
Yeah.
You still have.
Well, it's a system, and everybody is in the same system.
You have 2 returning players,
Yeah.
Reagan Goki and Kendall Robertson there. Not to mention the players that were on that team last year. When you look at the Andreas
that now
sisters
moved into the starting
and Olivia
roles.
Erlin, yep, and they moved into starting roles. I mean, you look at that team, and it's kind of okay. Let's keep this going. Let's keep this ride going. You know, and who would ever thought? Let's say if Lake Orion wins against West Bloomfield, who would ever thought they'd be playing the final week of the year?
No,
I didn't even think that.
The way they started, and
the way they started, they looked horrible.
Yeah, and you're going, well, you know, we understand because the turnover was so high. You know, 90% of your team
graduated,
moved
and then you lose one. You lose one and transfer to Florida. I mean, like,
yeah,
it's a lot.
It's what do you do? And but it shows the character. That's the true definition of a program, then, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not just a one-off.
Right.
The program can sustain.
Right.
The program can play at a high level.
They can.
And it takes some time to bring people who are new to that atmosphere up to the level that the program is expecting. But once they're there, they're performing.
They're performing.
But that's going to be a good game.
That'll be a really good game. My early indication in that one, I see Lake Orion in 4.
Ooh, okay.
I see him in 4 because they're going to have an answer for. I think they're going to have an answer for King. They're going to have an answer for Aubrey. I think Lake Orion's going to find a way in that game.
It's something we've seen too over the at least last year, of course, going on to the state finals and winning.
And that championship experience matters.
It's huge. But
it's huge.
The one thing that we've seen that the Dragons have exercised from, gotten rid of from what we've seen in the past that has held them back is unforced errors. I don't see a lot of.
This team still makes them.
But the games I was watching, though, at this point, I mean, you're going to make some unforced errors, but not like serve after serve after serve.
Right, and make
the foul,
it go out of system.
Yeah. And they've been playing within themselves, and they're not making boneheaded
and they
mistakes.
Believe in each other. And they believe
in
each other.
And chemistry.
And they believe in each other. That's the thing. A lot of people look at this Lake Orion team and say, well, this is a team that early on did not look very good. They were young, inexperienced, but they've managed to find a way to win. And that's the bottom line.
I mean, to me, this is the surprise.
This is the surprise
of the
of the
tournament so far.
Is Lake Orion's play. I mean, they've knocked off 3 state-ranked teams. An honorable mention, if I include Oxford, who's an honorable mention.
Honorable mention, yeah.
You look at West Bloomfield, who have they knocked off? Besides Troy, really not a lot of state-ranked teams on there.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Ferndale in the blue, their regional's very winnable down there. Their regional really winnable. So,
who do you have?
In the Division 2 with Ferndale.
Yeah.
I have the Troy Caesar Chavez moving on.
Okay.
Past Ferndale. Here I have Lake Orion moving on. I think that win against Stony Creek on their home court is huge.
Yeah.
That is huge. To go into somebody's house and beat that team on the road, that says a lot.
And not only that, but like we mentioned, it was a comeback.
Yeah.
And there was so many chances for them to
Stony
fold.
Creek. There was so many chances for Stony Creek to win that
to close that out.
And the fact was that Stony Creek had a ton of experience on the team. They had a ton of experience coming in. Yeah, they lose 4 seniors, but you have a ton of experience who's been through it all. And for Lake Orion, virtually a young, inexperienced team that beat Stony Creek.
Coming out party for these youngsters.
Yeah. I owe Tony Scavardo and that Lake Orion girls volleyball team an apology. I do. I really do.
Are you going to write him a note, or are you going to walk over and shake his hand?
Not even close. Not even close.
We'll do it here, and then we'll send him an email or a link to the podcast.
Yeah. I'll think about that. I think I owe a lot of people an apology.
Well, but that's the fun part about sports, Sam. You sit around, we have fun, predict it, trying to guess, and it's a guess.
Oh, it is a guess, yes.
And the great, I love being surprised, man. I go,
go
against script. That's the best
girls
part.
Basketball tryouts are starting up. That's going to be really interesting.
Basketball already?
Remember we had Kellen James and Bob Bridges on this podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
We had both those coaches on the podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm curious to see when you look at basketball season how that's going to shape up.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting.
Well, we're going to know within
2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll do what next week will probably be just
football.
Recap of football, who's still living.
And who is done.
The volleyball, who's still rolling still.
Oh, yeah.
And then maybe we can dig into some other topics that we've been, transfer rules. Review.
Yeah. Review, transfer rules review.
2.0, right?
Oh, yeah, sure. We could go into that. But when you look at in volleyball, you still look at the other teams around the entire state. Farmington Mercy's still in there.
Yeah, and looking
had
good.
to survive Birmingham Marion went 5 games.
But
they know each other, though.
Yeah, know each other, and both teams are no slouches.
No.
Very, very good.
No. I mean, and then you look at Flushing. Flushing is another team to look at. They are taking on Mount Pleasant. At Mount Pleasant, Flushing, they were state quarterfinalists last year.
Yeah.
Guess who knocked them off last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else from the west side? Or is it pretty much starting to settle on?
Starting to settle. You have Rockford still there.
Perennial, always there.
Always there. Yep. But right now it looks like it's still the early favorite in Division 1 has to be Farmington Mercy. I've heard a lot of the unfinished business, what they've said about them. And they have a Miss Volleyball candidate in Jessica Merzak.
Yeah.
But
this has been a fun. I have to say,
it's been fun. I know we haven't talked a lot volleyball.
No, but yeah.
But especially with how the regionals have come. We have 3 OA teams left.
Yeah.
The OA Red, of course, proven itself to be a very tough conference. The white division had a good year this year. You had Bloomfield Hills and Seaholm there.
Yeah.
The blue, that was won by Royal Oak under first-year coach. I think Sierra Schultz is her name. She ended up winning.
Good for them.
Good for the Ravens to get their first league title.
It's always good to take home the hardware, isn't it?
It always is. It always is. It's really good to take out the hardware. Other thoughts, Ian?
No, I'm just really excited. We start looking at, football is kind of winding down, and there's still a lot of good games out there.
Oh, yeah, especially when you look at
the West Bloomfield
Belleville
game is going to be very intriguing.
That's going to be intense down there.
Absolutely. I hope it's televised. I'd love to tune in to see that.
Or if you can't, you can get down to Belleville to Saturday at 1 o'clock game.
Yeah, it's in the afternoon. Lord knows that the Michigan State game is not going to be a hoot. I mean, for the Michigan fans out there, have fun.
Yeah.
It's going to get ugly for the Spartans.
Trust me.
I know.
I've been there.
Yeah, it's tough.
Then, of course, you have Seaholm and Port Huron.
Yes, and
That's a game I'm looking forward to.
Me too.
That's a game I'll be looking forward to.
Can they keep the Momo up?
I think they can. I think Seaholm can. I mean, the Veer offense is perhaps one of the most unique offenses in sports. That triple option attack that Seaholm runs. Taking out a Port Huron team, it's very athletic.
Yeah.
Port Huron's not bad.
But
they upset Port Huron Northern. Now, albeit it was about Brendan McGregor, but still, beating Port Huron Northern, no easy slouch.
Yeah, no.
No.
So a lot of good games, a lot of intriguing little storylines here. The volleyball games.
Yep, volleyball games. Probably the most intriguing game to me is Davis and Utica Eisenhower. That's the other one that's going to be very intriguing. Of course, we saw Utica Eisenhower what they did against Lake Orion. Davison, we saw what they did to Lapeer.
Yeah.
I got Davison winning that game. I think Davison, Brennan Sullivan's going to be a difference maker there in that one. I think they're going to get by Utica Eisenhower. I like Sterling Heights, Stevenson over Detroit Cass Tech. I think they have enough to do that.
Cass Tech keeps winning.
I know.
Keeps on winning.
I like King over UD Jesuit. And then Muskegon rolling in D3 right now.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely.
Okay, now let's sign off here. Take care, everybody. For Ian Locke, the Sammy tuning here. Take care. See you all next week, everybody.
See you, Sam. OAA Now is produced by Sammy Taramina, and the views on this show are his and his alone. If you'd like to make your own podcast, give ONTV a call at 248-393-1060. Classes are now enrolling. Be sure to get out there and take in some of these games. I mean, super exciting. Cheer on these student athletes. They're working so hard in the classroom and on the court and the field. Get out there. That's it for this edition of ONTV Now. We'll see you next week. See ya. What'd I say? OAA Now. See ya. It's the snow. I blame the snow.